If you have heard Black people are the most overweight individuals, this video will help you understand things in context. Very important video. Don't get to the point your body dysmorphic because of what people say on social media without knowing anything about body types.
If you're of African descent, your body processes fat, insulin, and heart disease differently than other groups. Most health guidelines were not built for you. People of African ancestry tend to have lower insulin sensitivity and higher insulin levels than white populations, even when...
Key question here: what is the risk of lower insulin sensitivity? And what is the risk of high insulin level? Lower insulin sensitivity means your cells struggle to efficiently use glucose for energy. To compensate, and your pancreas pumps out excess insulin, which over time wears out, paving the way for chronically elevated blood sugar, pre-diabetes, and type 2 diabetes. So keep that in mind. As far as high insulin levels, the biggest things here that I have on this list is type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, weight gain, metabolic syndrome, cancer, fat liver disease. These are things not discussed, and we're only 15 seconds into the video. Let's keep going.
And lean. This isn't driven by the usual suspects. People of African descent actually have less visceral fat, the dangerous belly fat, and less liver fat than white populations at the same body weight. Instead, the primary driver appears to be hyperinsulinemia. The body's producing too much insulin because the liver clears insulin more slowly. This means standard metabolic tests can miss the problem. Triglycerides and liver fat may look normal, while insulin resistance is already building. People of African descent.
And the thing about metabolic tests, they should change it to make it specific to ethnic groups. They cannot make a generic metabolic test because it loses context. For example, two men at 200 pounds will not hold weight the same way. I'm currently over 200 pounds, but the BMI says I'm overweight. There could be somebody else at the same height at 200 pounds as well. That person may be overweight because they carry more fat than me, but that is something the BMI scale doesn't provide. So it needs to be a more efficient way to do those tests.
Tend to carry more muscle mass and greater bone density at the same body weight. That sounds protective, and for some things it is. But it means BMI is especially poor measurement of metabolic risk in this population.
Exactly.
A large UK study.
And I argue in any population, if you look at Asians, right, the BMI probably will most likely say none of them are obese. But if you look at them, how they carry the weight and so on, you're telling me no individuals within the Asian community suffer of type 2 diabetes and anything in that nature? It doesn't provide enough context. In addition to that, she mentioned bone density and carry more muscle. A popular thing is people saying Black men and Black women are overweight, but they never provide this context. A Black woman at a specific weight versus a white woman, when you look at a Black woman, right, she's curvy, she has weight in her breasts, her hips, her butt. In addition to more bone density, that's weight. So when using the BMI scale, it's unfair to compare two groups based on that information, right? Because of different body types. So this is something that is missed when it comes to fitness. We associate weight and height and age to a particular group, whether if that's obese or whatever the case may be, but we don't provide enough context. A good way to know if someone is in better shape is how they look in the mirror, not just the number on the scale. I'm talking too much. My apologies.
Of nearly 1.5 million people found, the equivalent diabetes risk that white populations reach at a BMI of 30 occurs at a BMI of 28 in the Black population. For reference, BMI 28 is approximately 26% body fat. For men, for women, approximately 39% body fat. Black Americans should be screened for diabetes starting at a BMI 18.5, not the standard 25. Black Americans have significantly higher rates of hypertension. 55% develop it from the age of 55, compared to 55% of white men. Hypertension is the single biggest driver of cardiovascular death. Here's the good news. People of African descent show more beneficial adaptations to resistance training across multiple health markers.
So when you hear all this information about the higher likelihood of hypertension and so on, and weight gain, storing fat, all that, in addition to the bone density, of course, that's the beneficial side, and the capabilities of adapting more to resistance training. When people say good genetics, They never want to bring everything. They never want to mention that side. They want to mention the bone density and the capabilities of adapting to weight training. You get what I'm saying? So when you see someone of African descent that has a great physique, you never want to give them credit for the work it took to get there. Because when it comes to the insulin sensitivity and insulin levels, we're at a disadvantage. But nobody ever talks about it. They only want to mention the bone density and the capabilities to adapt to weight training faster. They never mention that. So which is it, folks? The good genetics thing is overblown. It's also something that doesn't provide context. I would argue we'll have to work harder in this department, because especially nutrition wise. Not really so much physical training and things of that category. The nutrition side, because of our disadvantage when it comes to insulin, right? Nobody mentions that.
Markers, including improvements in inflammatory markers, insulin sensitivity, and vascular function. So here's what to do. First, ask for a fasting insulin test, not just fasting glucose. Standard glucose tests can look normal while insulin is already elevated. Triglycerides may also appear misleadingly low. Second, know your blood pressure. Hypertension is the #1 modifiable risk factor. Get it checked regularly and treat it aggressively. Third, prioritize resistance training. Muscle is the primary tissue that clears glucose from your blood. Protein. Aim for 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of lean mass. Remove ultra-processed foods. Fifth, walk after meals. Your biology has unique features. Some are protective, some require earlier attention. Know the difference. Monitor proactively. Train intentionally.
Love this video. I love this video. This video provided all the context you need. This is why it's very important to know your body type, to know your capabilities, not only from the positive standpoint, but from a negative standpoint as well. Knowing this information as someone of African descent, you need to pay attention to what you said about resistance training. That helps a lot mitigate all those disadvantages, and also dialing in on your nutrition side as well. So this is something key. As Africans, we need to be training. We need to be. People all over the world tell us we have the greatest genetics ever, but they never talk about this part here, the insulin sensitivity. When you're younger, it's not that bad, but as you get older, it gets worse. So you need to prioritize resistance training. I love this video. I need to find the link. I found this. Unfortunately, I lost it, but I promise I'll find it and I'll link it in the description. Thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure to provide any thoughts you have about my reaction and the thoughts I have throughout the video. Thank you so much. May God bless you, and I'll catch you next video. Metro booming, want some more, nigga.